Hi guys, this week we're going to be looking at a new movie, something that's coming out now, which is very different from what we've been doing so far in Reflections and Just Action, Just July. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks. All right, welcome back to Smoke and Mirrors Reflections. I'm your host, Rob, and this week we're taking a look at The Suicide Squad. And that kind of rhymed but didn't, but hey, you're here, and thank you for joining me. So Suicide Squad came out this year. It was very controversial in terms of David Ayer doing the last one, all the studio control and all the shit that went into that, and then James Gunn comes out. So previously it was Gavin O'Connor, and Gavin O'Connor was kind of going around saying, hey, I'm doing the next Suicide Squad, until he wasn't, and he found out when Warner Brothers announced that James Gunn was the guy that's going to bring the next iteration of the Suicide Squad to the screens. So this one's directed and written by James Gunn. We all know him from Super, Slither, Guardians of the Galaxy, and he wrote Dawn of the Dead, the remake. He also had a hand in doing the Belko Experiment, which came out a couple of years back. This one stars, it's got a fucking crazy ensemble. So we've got Idris Elba as Bloodsport, Robert Dubois. We've got Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, John Cena as Peacemaker or Christopher Smith. We got David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot Man. We've got Joel Kinnaman returning again as Colonel Rick Flag. Viola Davis as the scheming Amanda Waller. We've got Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher 2. Alice Braga as Sol Soria, Peter Capaldi, for all you Doctor Who fans, as the Thinker. Julio Cesar Ruiz as Milton, a running joke in the movie. We got Julio Diego Bota as Presidente General Silvio Luna. We got Joaquin Cosio as Mayor General Mateo Suarez. We got Michael Rooker, a James Gunn mainstay, as Savant. Nathan Fillion as TDK, the detachable kid. Jai Courtney returning as Captain Boomerang. Flula Borg as Javelin. Maylin Ning as Mongal. Pete Davidson as Blackguard. Sean Gunn as Weasel or Calendar Man. Well, he's Weasel, but Calendar Man makes an appearance, and Sean Gunn's the guy to play him. We got Steve Agee, who plays John Economos. He also did the on-set acting for King Shark, so props to him for that, for pulling double duties. And we got Sylvester Stallone as King Shark, providing the voice. And it's such a fitting voice for King Shark. Jennifer Holland plays Amelia Harcourt, and Taika Waititi has a little cameo in this one as Ratcatcher 1, or is it just Ratcatcher? I don't know. So the plot around this one is Amanda Waller. She's one of those real sort of government-y types. So she recruits metahuman inmates and just normal human inmates that are highly skilled from Belle Reve Prison. So they're recruited to perform black ops, and they go under the name Task Force X, also known as the Suicide Squad. So the mission this time is to destroy a secret building dubbed Jotunheim in a fictional island nation called Corto Maltese. So the squad's going to go up against armies and more to try and save the world or kill each other trying. The heroes in this one, the reluctant heroes. So we get Bloodsport, who really doesn't give a shit. He's like a Deadshot clone, I think, in terms of his skill set, but also in terms of his relationships. He's also got a daughter. The ex-wife is sort of, or the wife is out of the picture. Now his ex-wife, the daughter's looking after the ex-wife in a way. But in this one, we almost see like this progression. If the rumors that it be believed that Idris Elba stepped in for Will Smith and took over the Deadshot role, and then was later just recalled and renamed Bloodsport. Is pretty cool. The character. He has this strained relationship with his daughter. We see it very early on in the movie, and it's his motivation for joining the squad that Amanda Waller uses to leverage his ass. Idris Elba plays his character well. He does both the softer moments, the more sarcastic moments, and the action really well. So he's cool. He's got like this armor. And his suit is kind of all weapons, basically. So anything he pulls off his chest, his side, or whatever can transform into a weapon, which aids him in this mission in different ways. So he just seems kind of dead inside and incapable of connecting and love. We find out that it's from his father who treated him that way. And we kind of get that parental theme through the movie of things done to our kids that have fucked them up and made them a certain way. We got Harley Quinn, who kind of gave it all up in Suicide Squad, lost her sanity, became Joker's woman, then broke up with the Joker in the horrible Harley Quinn movie. So she's really out there, direct, but it almost seems like she's grown in this movie. She gets lots of chances to really push her character. She had a chat with James Gunn very early on where they were like, Harley doesn't have to be the main thing that's happening in the movie, but things could kind of start to snowball as a result of the shit that she's doing. And we do see that in this movie, and it makes complete sense. And she was used really, really well, both in on the sideline stories. Sideline story, is that just J. Cole? For the sort of side story and part of the main mission that they're on. We get Rick Flag returning. So Joel Kinnaman said, hey, with this iteration, I'm going to take it a different route. And he came at it with a lot of sincerity and a sort of softer tone, not the hard-ass militaristic route that he took in the first iteration of the Suicide Squad. So I always thought maybe it was just Rick Flag, and he's grown accustomed to leading these people, and he's part of the life now. It's not a shock to him. He's not against the program, and he's just kind of going with it. So I liked it, and that's how I thought of it, but I'm creating my own storylines here and driving a narrative that probably doesn't exist. We get our introduction to King Shark, who is dopey and childlike and lovable in the most ferocious, deadly kind of way. When he meets the team, they almost want to kill him on their first mission because he tries to eat Ratcatcher 2, and Bloodsport kind of puts him in check. But then it's Ratcatcher 2's more soft approach that actually breaks through to him at the idea of actually having friends, to which he says he has no friends. I like the character. It works really, really well. He's almost got like this childlike movement with Stallone's kind of dumbed down voice, which really sells the charm in a character like that. Because in comparison, you see him then biting people's heads off and eating people whole. We also see Peacemaker. So Peacemaker's a big part of this story. He is a carbon copy of Bloodsport and Deadshot, and he's been trained from birth to be the greatest killer. So because of those traits and because of how he kind of looks at the world, where he's willing to kill innocent men, women, and children in order to maintain peace, there's an immediate rivalry between him and Bloodsport, who kills people for money, and he has no problem bringing that up every chance that he gets. Also, he kind of starts it by saying that he's better. Everything he does is better because, like, you know, if Bloodsport can shoot a target right in the middle in the bullseye, he can shoot it even more in the bullseye because he uses smaller bullets, something that also pops up later on in the movie. Ratcatcher 2, who's the most human? Her power is she has like this magical staff, which I reckon you could probably buy a kid's toy that looks very similar. I've seen a wand type dealie where you could, like, you know, glow it up and stuff, and it'd probably look exactly the same, but still pretty cool. She controls rats with that thing, which Bloodsport has a phobia of rats, and they play that to, like, you know, great effect in the movie. I like that reaction. She's always trying to sleep. Her introduction is sleeping. She's sleeping throughout the movie, and she almost looks like she's constantly just trying to wake up. At the end of it, she's really the heart of the film. This is the place where James Gunn, this is the character that James Gunn placed the most emotion in, most human emotion in, so that we kind of get a through line through the film, and we can relate to that humanity in a group of killers and idealists almost. So the last person that I'll touch on here, is Polka Dot Man. So Polka Dot Man was infected by his mother, him and his siblings as well. It's a really fucked up story. His mother tried to create superheroes and ended up infecting him with an interdimensional virus, which means that he kind of swells up with polka dots and then has to expel them at least twice a day, or they will just consume him. So he's living with that hurt of a parental figure that basically abused him, much like Peacemaker, much like Bloodsport, and I'm pretty sure much like Deadshot, but we never got into that out of all the backstory in the first Suicide Squad. So the villains this time, we get Presidente General Silvio Luna, who's pretty charming. He's basically like Latin lover David Tennant. Looks exactly like him, except built like a brick shithouse. He's cold-blooded, but then he has like this romantic charming side, and then he just gives like this really sort of cold-blooded monologue where that just tips someone off the edge. So Mayor General Mateo Suarez is his right-hand man. He's even more cold-blooded and kind of one-noted in his savagery, because all he wants to do is kill in the movie, and just, yeah, he has no other plans but, okay, I'm going to be president now, so I'm going to kill as many people as I can. The Thinker, Peter Capaldi's character, who has been experimenting on this giant kaiju starfish for ages, creating a monster. The things that he does is pretty unspeakable and disgusting. And we see that in the movie. He never shies away from being a scumbag. He is what he is. There is no other side. There was no other ulterior motive for him trying to experiment on Starro. He was just evil. And Amanda Waller, who's the biggest villain out of all of them. So she's a control freak to the nth degree. She basically snaps her fingers and people do things. She has the ultimate leverage on this ultimate team of badasses. And she's been completely corrupted by power. So we kind of see her in the first movie, and she has that little bit of heart left in the tank where she allows Deadshot to see his daughter. And she kind of, she has a payment for all of the Suicide Squad members that have saved her in the first mission. She also reaches out to Bruce Wayne or Batman. And it's funny that, like, she would have that connection but still turn out absolutely corrupted. She has complete disregard for anything other than the mission. We see her very early on in the movie send a whole team to their death, and she's telling them, nah, stick to the mission because I think you guys have a good chance. They had no chance, and they get absolutely decimated. So let's look at the action. So we get some pretty cool action sequences here. So James Gunn can shoot the shit out of an action movie, and his scenes are pretty impressive. So his camera like tracks, it zips, it pans, and it tilts, and it gives us every possible point of view of the action to make us invested and excited and keep us in the zone with it. So we're not like, seeing Batman off camera beating the shit out of people. We're seeing it, and it's epic and it's nice. We can follow it easy. And the action sequences are really dynamic and fun. So the opening scene is basically, we get right into it. We see Savant getting recruited, and then they go on this mission. We kind of meet the rest of this Suicide Squad, we're led to believe, only for them to get sold out by Blackguard, Pete Davidson, you motherfucker. And then everyone just gets decimated and destroyed. And people that we thought would stick around, like Jai Courtney, even though the mass of people hate Jai Courtney, he does well in this role, and then see him get killed off in this property, I was like, no. Because I don't know, after seeing Kano, after seeing him in the first movie, like, I like that Australian sort of aspect to it. Adds a little flavor, you know what I mean? But it also teaches us that no one is safe in this movie. But then again, with some of the stakes, you kind of expect most of the other team to make it through. We get this siege through the rebel village where Bloodsport versus Peacemaker, and they kind of have this rivalry where they're trying to kill people and one-up each other in that. We see some hand-to-hand stuff from Bloodsport where he's using like these sort of, I want to say a Tommyknocker. I'm not really up to date on my medieval weapons, but it's the chain and ball type thing with the spikes in there. I don't know. And he's got like mini ones of those. He's got flamethrowers. He's got like bow and arrow arm type things. He's got like this sword, hook, cabal type deal. While Peacemaker's also got like knives and shit like that. And he's got his gun. He's got explosive bullets. And then they get creative, right? And they're shooting people, like shooting a leg of a table, and a fan falls into the bath, and there's guys in the bath, and then we get some full frontal nudity and a whole lot of dick before that guy's shot as well. We get the destruction of Jotunheim. So this is a big sequence as well. And I find that much like we've seen in Hard Boiled, the action scenes kind of ramp up until we get like the spectacle scenes. So we get like sort of nice, intimate, sort of story-driven action sequences, only to kind of go into bang, here's the spectacle, and here's where the whole team kind of shows their strengths, because we see Colonel Rick Flag show heart and almost turn against the government faction that he's with. He wants to expose America for the shit that they've done in Jotunheim. So we find out at this point that, yes, America has been behind the starfish kaiju thing the whole time. And they need to, take responsibility for that. Rick Flag feels anyways. Before Peacemaker steps in and goes, nah, you're not going to, expose shit. And then basically stabs him in the heart. Ratcatcher 2 sees this, and then Peacemaker's after her. There's a lot of explosions in this scene. There's some King Shark bits in there as well, where he finds these new friends, these like colorful jellyfish. They look like the things off Pac-Man. I don't know if they're meant to be, but they're pretty fucking disgusting. Because they're like cute little jellyfish with like these big sort of like googly eyes, and then when they come into contact with him, they show their teeth, literally. And then the whole building explodes, washing King Shark out, and he fucking like lets rip on these guys. There's one scene where he sort of rocks up back to the squad and he's just chewing on a head. So Bloodsport, Harley, Polka Dot Man, they all kind of have like something to do in this scene as well. And it really all leads to this big fight at the end, which is Starro versus the Suicide Squad. And it's an epic battle because it takes everything that's kind of left in them. They've completed the mission. They've destroyed Jotunheim. They've falsified the evidence. And then they have a choice. And that choice is to, well, I'm willing to die to actually protect these people and save Corto Maltese. And they do that through, like, you know, Bloodsport actually becoming a leader, something that he didn't want to do through the course of this film because he didn't care about anything at the start of it. So, yeah, we get to see a character arc there. Harley, who gained a javelin from Javelin, played by Flula Borg, earlier on in the decimation on the beach in the first 10 minutes, is looking for a purpose for this javelin, and then she finds it, and she's able to save the day. Ratcatcher 2 gets some time to shine as well on an epic scale, bringing the rats and bringing the noise. We get Polka Dot Man, who Bloodsport completely manipulates by saying, hey, the kaiju's actually your mom. And he just goes apeshit, raining polka dots on this fucking starfish. It's cool. I really, really liked it. If not a little bit short, that scene. But again, all these action sequences, they don't take you to the point where you're just like Michael Bay exhausted at this shit. You're in it and you're willing to kind of go along the journey, and it's beautiful. The movie looks really, really cool as well. So do I think this movie will hold up? Or did it make me forget about the Aya version? I don't know if the comparison is all right to make at this point in time, considering all the shit that went on behind the scenes with Aya's vision. But it didn't make me forget about it. It actually made me appreciate the different aspects of David Ayer's Suicide Squad. And on second viewing, when I was watching The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's version, it wasn't as strong. And it wasn't as strong more in the comedic side of it. So a lot of that fun feeling was kind of lost. Because I like to watch these movies when I do these reviews, unless it's something that I've watched 100 times, like Bloodsport. I like to do these reviews with at least watching it once in the hype and once out of the hype. When I watched it in the hype, it was fun as fuck. But out of the hype just felt a little bit more tired. But then I was also very tired. So I finished work late, and it's a long story. But I ended up falling asleep in that movie, and that's why I'm re-recording this review now. This is take 2. So after watching the Aya version, I appreciated the tone that he brought. Then again, I don't know if it was actually his tone that he was kind of going for. So I don't even know if that's an accurate comparison. But anyways, I felt that tone helped with the redemption arcs. The redemption arcs in Suicide Squad were also more fully realized, with us seeing a lot more from Deadshot. in terms of where he starts, where he goes, and like him becoming a leader, much like Bloodsport does, and then him seeing his daughter at the end. At the end of this Suicide Squad, we kind of get Bloodsport going, making a phone call, and then saying, "Hey, I've got the evidence, and I'm willing to trade our lives for that," which is cool, but we don't see it. So I don't know if it actually eventuates or what happens. They do leave on like the government helicarrier, so I don't know. Between these two movies, there's definitely a really good Suicide Squad adaptation out there. So I think like Aya's tone, his redemption arcs as well, even though like Killer Croc just wanted BET, which just, it felt fucking stupid to me. And Harley would risk it all for a fucking coffee machine. It was visible, we seen it. But then with in James Gunn's version, the heart and charm and that family feel really hit home as well. And I think a good Suicide Squad movie, or a really great Suicide Squad movie, needs to be a perfect balance of both. So my final thoughts. James Gunn is a master of balancing characters. He's got so many people in this team, or in both teams, in the movie, but he's able to give everyone a chance to shine. No one actually misses out, which is good. Even the players in the office get something to do. They're not just one-note characters, and they themselves have an arc as well from the start, where they're betting on who's going to die, to eventually caring about these characters and caring about the things that they do. So there's a scene where Amanda Waller basically just wants to kill everyone for not obeying her orders, and then she gets knocked out with a golf club. And the team then step in, and they're helping the squad actually save Corto Maltese. And I like that. It was almost like we, the viewer, were the people in that office. Because, at the start, we know that they're bad guys. All of them. And from the very start, they're almost set up to die. But as the movie goes on, we care about them. We want them to win. And, now it's up to us. What are we going to do about it? The movie looks beautiful. It's shot with a red Vanguard, which looks about the size of a tissue box, but produces 4K IMAX picture. Everything has a very different palette. I know there's some CG, all CG shots in the movie when they're going through this landscape, and it's the sun setting at the same time, and you kind of you get that comic booky feel. But then in these daylight rain shots, the movie doesn't wash out in that as well, and it kind of gives this really nice clean palette where colors pop off the screen, and we get that when we see a classic Gunn shot where our team are walking and it's slow-mo to music. The score hits as well, orchestrated by damn it, I forget his name, but it's his first movie back in 5 years or something like that. This is also the first R-rated movie to be shot entirely in IMAX too. So for me, the comedy doesn't always hit, even less on second viewing. And then I chucked it on again, and it still felt a little... It's almost like this cutesy sort of family-friendly comedy in a way, where it's dick and shit jokes, but You know, like you hear him the first time, you laugh your ass off, and you hear him the second time, you're like, yeah, cool. But I think that's what gets you in. That's what helped me have a really fun time on the first initial viewing. But on repeat viewings, I know it'll be different things that I find about the characters that'll help me kind of get through and build that bond almost with the movie. It's weird. I thought it was weird in the last battle that Starro couldn't be shot in the eye. Like Bloodsport's shooting these huge rounds at it, and it's like, creating like these sparks and almost fireworks when it hits it. But no one shot it in the eye the whole time, but Harley's able to jump through it, and like it's a clean dive. Like she would have got like a 10 at the Olympics or some shit. Straight into the eye. I don't know. It's just weird. I suspended my disbelief. I did. But it just, like, that's something that just nagged at me after the movie. So we also get 2 after credit sequences in this one. And we find out that Weasel actually survived. He's like still alive on the beach. He just didn't cough up the water then. So I hope the people that call in Colter Maltese protect their children, lock up at night. Because Weasel killed like 27 kids, which is just insane. And we find out that Peacemaker survived, where in Jotunheim, Bloodsport and Peacemaker have an altercation. Well, they don't have an altercation. Like, Peacemaker just ends up being a fucking traitor and a complete scumbag. So Bloodsport has to sort him out. And it's just in time for the Peacemaker show. So maybe that will be his retribution, redemption arc that we see throughout the show, where maybe he's not so one-dimensionally, I'm Captain America, but just jaded and willing to kill everyone for peace. The pacing in this movie is really good. I find James Gunn, with his camera movements, like there's not a point in the movie where you just kind of like go into a lull. It's dynamic. The editing is quick. So you're kind of moving along with it. It's at a breakneck pace. And then by the time you even get a breath, they're interrogating the thinker, and it says Jotunheim, which is basically the end of the movie. I don't think audiences will have a bad time with this movie at all. It's so much fun the first watch through, and it's something that I'll probably throw on every couple of months. It's definitely more approachable than the first David Ayer Suicide Squad. I hope the excitement from it allows David Ayer to complete his vision over at Warner's and release something on HBO Max. I wish I'd seen this movie at the theaters. It seems like a big theatrical movie, but with COVID and lockdown and everything, I just didn't get a chance to. But still, it's probably the movie that we need during COVID, considering how light it is for a heavy subject matter action movie. It brings levity. And the performances sort of help that along, because everyone seems genuine. Everyone's going through shit, but everyone's trying to make the best of it, because if they don't, they're dead. And that attitude, I think it hits hard. We're all going through like this really, really rough patch with COVID and like the Delta variant popping up and all these things, and here's a movie that like heroes are dying, and it can be absurd at sometimes, and like we kind of needed this lightness to kind of bring us through. They even make a joke about like coughing and not covering your mouth. I enjoyed it overall. Overall, it was it's definitely a a step in the right direction for this franchise. I know that it didn't make the most money. It didn't break records, but like, we're in a pandemic. It probably hit big on HBO Max. Check us out on Logosmith Media, on YouTube and Spreaker under Logosmith Media. Should have started with Spreaker and YouTube first, but anyways, like and subscribe our shit. We're also on all the streaming services. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on I already said that. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook as well. If you're over 45. Yeah, I hope you guys are staying safe, taking care of yourselves, taking care of your families, and yeah, just getting through things. Things in Sydney are kind of tough at the moment, and it's a weird time. It's almost like existing in Groundhog Day. The weeks are flying by. The lockdowns keep getting extended, and life just goes on. Even though it feels like a snail's pace, it's almost like a snail on a really fast hamster wheel, if that makes sense at all. But yeah, I'm hoping you'll take care. Love yourself, love movies, and I shall see you next week. Take care.